Happy Thursday. We are here for another installment of the Women's Leaders Moving Forward Together series. I am Adina O'Neill. I am the coach and founder at Team Be Real, where we build belief, belonging, and confidence in all athletes. And the introduction where we are trying to connect with our live guest. And today we have Meg. There she is, Coach Meg. We did it.
Winning
Yes.
already.
Celebrate that every piece of the way we are
Exactly.
celebrating. We've got Coach Meg here from TMT Coaching, and we are going to have a little chat and talk to you today about Women's History Month. And before we get into all of that, Meg, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how we met.
Uh, cool. Awesome. So I'm Meg Tobin from TMT Coaching. TMT stands for the Mindful Triathlete. Before you think it's all yoga, airy fairy, which we all love, but it's more about bringing your full attention and your full self to your multi-sport experience. We are a diverse and supportive.
Uh-oh. Hold on. We've got a technical difficulty here. I see Meg still on my screen, but everything's kind of frozen. I hope that I'm not the one who's frozen. Uh, no. Let's see. All right, if you're on and watching, give me a thumbs up if you can still see me, if you can still see Meg. We may need to start over. Uh, I think we lost her, and hopefully we're getting her back. Except this is what happens when you go live. There we
Things
go.
things happen. Sorry about
Things
that.
happen.
I
Yeah,
don't know. I just got kicked out. It's
you
all
know,
good.
things happen, and this is like rule number one in multisport, right? Something is going to go unplanned. Stay calm, figure it out. So,
Exactly. Be
yeah,
flexible.
that's right. So we just got a little extra lesson in there, and we're gonna go take two.
There
Meg
you go.
Tobin, tell us who you are.
So, I'm Meg Tobin. I'm a multi-sport coach. I'm based in Boulder, Colorado, and San Francisco, California. I am the head coach at TMT Multisport, TMT Coaching, and we are a diverse and supportive team of 4 coaches and about 80 athletes, located all over North America, all North America, including our partners to the north and the south. And we are yeah, we support all ages, races, genders, and we look forward to working with athletes of all abilities. So
which is
that's
the
just a little bit about me. Yeah,
which is the true definition of
all,
diversity. I mean,
all athletes. Yeah,
we were chatting quickly as we got on, and obviously you can see things like skin color and size, but there is another level of diversity that you cannot see when you talk about gender identity, able-bodied versus disabled, and probably so many more things that that's not today's topic, but still very important to always call out.
absolutely. And I think that empathy I think empathy is a big thing in life and in multisport. And I think being open to somebody else's experience, you don't know what their experience as a coach, like when someone comes in, I don't know their experience with life, with sport, with their, with what they're bringing to the table. And I think that's a really important thing about the coaching relationship is getting to know your athletes so that you can meet them where they are and where they've been, because they're going to bring that to the thing. And
100%.
how did I meet you and get to know you? Well, uh, Adina and I are both open water swimmers and coaches, and I had followed Adina on Instagram, and big fan. And then we met at Endurance Exchange, finally in person, and it was all I had hoped it would be. And we have just been supportive buds ever since. And
Yes.
I'm happy to say that. I think that there are some people in life who, especially, or there's definitely people in coaching and in small business where it's like, oh, you do what I do, so we're competitive.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest competitors are not other coaches. And I think that I think if you're a committed coach and committed to learning and growing, both your business and your coaching experience, collaboration and learning from one another is wicked important. And I think that one of the reasons there aren't enough diverse coaches is because we don't necessarily help each other. And so it's really important to me. And I knew about 2 seconds after meeting Adina in person that it was really important to her. And so,
Yeah. And that was mutual. And we do have to give a big shout out to Crystal for, I think Crystal was the one who introduced me to you in the first place. That you need to meet my friend Meg. And I was like, okay, let's
yeah,
go. And it was certainly a mutual feeling that like, okay, this is someone who thinks and approaches things the same way I do, with that collaborative idea, and let's support, and I'm going to cheer you on, you're going to cheer me on, and we're going to get farther together. So, absolutely. Awesome.
awesome. Yep.
So let's jump into some Women's History Month thoughts. The theme for the month is moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations. What does that mean to you when you hear it?
Okay, so this might be a bit of a pivot because, but that's a really loaded statement, and I think it's really important. And but what it personally means to me when I think about Women's History Month and when I think about, I don't think we can talk about this in a vacuum. You know, we have to look at what's going on in the country right now, in the United States right now, and it's a really hard time to be a woman. It's real, and by the way, I am not trying to take that the tough, like, this isn't a competition about who it's hardest for, right?
No.
Because I'll acknowledge that we are two white women on
Yeah.
this call, and so um, in the rankings we're pretty lucky.
Yes.
But it's very hard to be a woman right now and and see what's happening to our rights and the rights of others. And I think it's really hard to I think part of that for me, the hardest part is watching other women support the erosion of our rights. And also trying to use pieces of history about that. So I recently, for example, I recently had a woman say to me that the suffragettes did not fight for our right to vote so that so that trans athletes could play in sport. And I thought, you know what? Love the suffragettes, eternally grateful. What a bunch of badasses. But when we look at history, we also have to look at, like, there were problems. The suffragettes were not perfect.
Mm,
Some of them were incredibly racist, and so every step that we took that got us forward is a great step. And so, but some of the people we look up to had learning to do that they did not have the opportunity to do. And I think, and that's the most grace I can give them, right? And so where we are now in this point of history, we need to stand on the shoulders of giants, but look forward.
yeah.
And and I think that we need to learn from women's history. We need to appreciate our women's history. We need to appreciate the people that came before us, even if they were somewhat problematic, but maybe not idolize them. And I think that goes for us as well. Like, for me, I am doing my best and I'm trying really hard, but I also have to always be open to learning and self-criticism
Yeah.
and not apologizing, but like saying, okay, great, thank you for teaching me that. And I'm going to take that on board and try to be better. Um,
I love
so
that.
being real and being better, you know?
Yeah.
So,
And nobody's perfect and no one's trying to be perfect. And we have to learn from those imperfections. Like you said, like look at the history, take the positive pieces, keep those moving forward and learn from the mistakes we've made. I mean, as coaches we do that all the
yep,
time, right? It's like we're going to try something, it's going to work or it's not going to work, and when it doesn't work it doesn't mean we were wrong, it means that's a learning that we're going to take forward. And yeah, just because someone said something at some point in history, it may have been more relevant or more powerful at that time, but we've evolved to a new time and place. So how can we use that information to kind of keep moving forward?
right.
And I have to reiterate what you said about it is a hard time for women,
Hmm.
and that it can also be a hard time for any other marginalized groups.
Absolutely.
It's important to remember that women, even white women, we are still part of a marginalized group, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
does not.
DEI includes us.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
But our struggles as women do not take away or limit the struggles of any other marginalized groups. We can be struggling and they can all be struggling. Just you can be happy about our progress and sad about that there's so much more to do at the same time.
ab
It's not a or situation. Yeah.
absolutely. And our and gaining rights or securing rights or you know and having privilege, that's an opportunity to give an arm up to someone else. It's
Absolutely.
like I walk around all the time saying it, and I didn't invent this, I wish I did, but equality is not pie.
No.
And you know what? And you know what? There's more pie for other people. And you know what? If we run out of pie, we're gonna make more pie. You know,
Yeah.
let's just make more pie. Like if we get pie, let's make more pie. That is what I say all the time to my athletes
Love
and friends.
it.
And I think that that to me that's the most important thing is like as we grow, and I think that is why I became a coach, is I came from somewhere where this experience and my belief in myself came out of multi-sport. And why did I become a coach? Not to help other people get stronger and faster and execute races better. All of those things, yes. But
Yes.
the biggest thing that I got along the way was a belief in myself, a really strong belief in myself. That and you know like that I had imposter syndrome probably about just about everything I did. And I did a lot of cool stuff before I even came to multisport. But it didn't really soak in until I start that multi-sport experience happens for me. And that's when I started believing in me. And I take that with me in everything that I do. And if I can give that belief to other people who who look like me, who don't look like me, who have different beliefs than me, then I've given that belief and that person will stand up for themselves. And I think that is the strongest thing that as a coach I can do.
And that's the empathy that you mentioned, right? To understand that, I have my own personal struggles, and until you talk to someone, you don't know what their personal struggles are. And you can have that empathy. I look a certain way, and I tend to attract a lot of larger bodied athletes because they can visibly see that I'm a larger bodied athlete. But I also attract a lot of older athletes, slower athletes, LGBTQ. I was saying earlier, I have a disproportionate number of Jewish people on my team because my family background, as I've
Yep,
shared over time, so people just like, oh, there's that comfort. But then there are people who are like, I've got a handful of LGBTQ people. And I'm not in that community. I'm a very strong ally, but I have the empathy that says, I know what it like to suffer. I might not know what your suffering feels like, but it's that same empathy. And yeah, and I can have a trouble and you can have a trouble and we can lift each other together.
yep.
So, oh, love it. Um, I'm gonna mix around the questions a little bit because we
Because I
have
went
like
off piece. Sorry.
we went, you know what though, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what moving forward is. That's what, we are educating and inspiring. And sometimes you have to go off the script. You have to change the way you do things. You have to change the way you look at things and roll with those punches, right? And that's the most important part about these topics. But the one question, so the two questions that I do want to ask. One is, who is or was an inspiring woman in your life?
You know, I think that, oh, it's like, how could I pick one, right? I mean, I, you know, I think that I had a sixth grade teacher who was a member of the LGBTQ community, but I didn't know it at the time.
Hmm.
And but who was, pretty radical. Went off piste on in terms of um, our learning a lot, and that was just an eye-opening experience for me. I think that I I I think that I can't think of one woman in my personal life that didn't inspire me,
Mm,
and good, bad, or indifferent.
love
And and I can't think of one person, like I can't just say like, oh, my mom or anything, like, because all of those women taught me something.
it. Yeah.
And I think if I have to point to, like, I think one person I keep coming back to, because I just can't even imagine where we would be in sport or life without her, is Billie Jean King. I
Hmm.
I and everyone's, when I learn about historical figures in sports and women's sports and things like that, I often have to like have a grain of salt, or like there's going to be some problematic things. I want to think about them. There's, there'll be somebody they excluded, and Billie Jean King is one of those people who just seems to still, to this day,
Yeah.
be cheerleading other people,
Yeah.
other women, other marginalized groups,
Yep.
and in the spirit of nobody left behind,
Mm.
and demands the best for yourself. And so I'm pretty grateful for Billie Jean King and all that they've done for women's sports.
Yeah. Oh, and I love how you said that you draw inspiration, good or bad, for everyone. We always think of inspiring as a positive thing, and I'll be the first to admit, every time I ask that question, I'm expecting someone to respond with a positive answer, and
Yeah,
obviously, Billie Jean King, very positive influence, but there is inspiration, that comes from a place of learning, or from a place that, ooh, this is not what I want to do, and that does inspire us as well.
yeah.
So I love that perspective. Thanks for sharing that. That's great.
I think if we look back at, like, for our generation, our moms and what they went through, some of it was, some of the things that our moms tolerated or accepted for themselves, I
Yeah.
learned from that as like, oh, that's not what I want for myself.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
For sure.
and and my mom deserved better, or and she didn't know, and she didn't know how to ask for it or get it.
Hmm.
And I think that when I talk to my children about my experience too, right? Because I have boys and girls, and I have members of my children are also members of the LGBTQ community, and things that's like, when they look at how I grew up and the things I've done, and they talk about that aspirationally, I'm like, just remember, I made a lot of mistakes, and there were choices I didn't know I had, and you need to, and so you consider that. Like, you don't have to, like, this is my life. It's not a playbook for you.
No.
It's a
No.
it's an opportunity for learning for you to do things your own way. And I think that's what we need to bring to other people too, is
Yep.
like, these are my experiences. This is what you can learn from. Maybe you won't make the same mistakes I did. Maybe you will, and then you go, oh, that's what they were talking about.
I,
So
I
yeah,
think that's kind of the point of the theme, right? Educating and inspiring generations, right? It's a
yeah.
progression. It's a progression. All right. Well, we obviously could talk all day long and go on and on and on, but I am going to ask you in your best succinct, if you had 1 minute to impart some wisdom on us, what would it be?
Keep learning, keep
Mm.
growing, have an open mind. And I think that we're, I think if the theme is moving forward together, the one thing I want to remind people, or I would remind people, is that we can't move forward unless we are moving forward together.
Wow. That is that is huge. But can't move forward unless we are moving forward together. Yeah, and yeah, there's there's a lot of bickering, there's a lot of name calling, there's a lot of just closed off communication, and
Yes.
that's specifically speaking about here in the United States right now, and that's problematic. It sure is problematic, and I think it's great to have these conversations with people who are like minded. I think it's also great if people who are not so like minded can find a place to have that conversation, to be open minded, as you said, to have those difficult conversations. And they're difficult
They
conversations. um, but we can have them, as long as if you have two parties who have open minds to have a conversation and explore
Yep.
those different thoughts and feelings. That's a step. Wow, that's really really powerful. Thanks, Meg. That was I love that. I think that's a great way to leave this conversation, and encourage more conversations, so that we can come together to all move forward. Thank you so much for sharing some time with us today. Do you want to leave anybody? Do you have any interesting things to promote or share, or where can people find you if they'd like to connect with
Uh,
you?
I'm Try Meg Try myself on Instagram, and it's TMT Coaching or TMT Multisport on Instagram, and tmtcoaching.com. And if you have big dreams and not quite sure how to put them together, we probably have a coach for you. And if we don't, we'll figure one out, even if they're not with us. But I think that we're all about supporting dreams, and I mean, our slogan is "Dream F and Big." So
Awesome.
that, yeah.
Love it.
Thanks. It's always great to connect with you.
Oh, same here. And to everybody, we'll leave it with be well, be real, and keep moving forward. Have a great day.
Peace, much love. Bye.